What's up, guys? Thought I would change things up quite a bit and do this one in my karate gi. And so this is not about karate, but it's real life. This is what I'm about to be doing here after I throw you some of this content here. So had one of my teammates reach out, and they are struggling because they're struggling with their motivation and what's really going to push them in business, because they have a really good paying job and they actually like their work as well. It's not some like super like grind, and it's not something they hate or anything like that. It sounds like they have a pretty cool boss and stuff, but there are also things that they realize that they don't get to be there for all their children's activities. They don't get to be there for their spouse all the time. And so this is really about looking at some of those things and figuring out, like, if you are already in a, let's call it like a comfort zone, so to say, how do you find the motivation if it's not there? And here's what it comes down to. It comes down to, are you already comfortable right now? And this goes with like a high income, whether or not you like your job. The more comfortable you are, the less motivated you will become. And here's why. It's because the very nature of what's like the deepest part of your unconscious mind, like the basal ganglia and the parts of your brain that are the oldest, that were formed the first, what they are wired to do are two things. And when you understand this, you understand your keys, also the key to every other human being on this entire planet. And we are wired to avoid pain and to gain pleasure. And the reason for that is because it used to be, rewind thousands and thousands of years ago, that like this bush right here, if I'm a hunter and I'm out trying to provide for my family and I see this bush moving around, let's say it's not windy out, I know either my dinner is in the bush, which is going to mean pleasure because then I can feed my family tonight, or there's a lion in there and they're going to come out and I'm either going to have to escape or try to avoid pain, or they're going to kill me. And so it's literally wired in the deepest part of our brain that we are wired to avoid pain and to gain pleasure. So the reason why that's really important to understand is that if you are in an environment that is safe and comfortable, and this also goes if you've already created a full-time income, the exact same thing, it works exactly like this, that if you approach something that your mind starts to feel comfortable, you define as a comfort level, you literally will flatten out and level out, because you can't, your brain isn't wired to keep going, because it doesn't sense any pain to avoid unless you have like massive pleasure tied to things beyond that that are still motivating you. And so what this is about is taking control internally to where you find the motivation inside, not just waiting for an external circumstance. So instead of a leaf floating around on the wind, that an external circumstance would be like, let's wait till the economy goes to crap and all of a sudden my job and my situation isn't good anymore. Let's wait till, just same thing. That, by the way, something is definitely coming in the economy in the coming years. Probably 2-ish years, plus or minus. This video is being shot in late 2018. And whenever it comes, it doesn't matter. There's cycles that have happened for centuries and even for thousands of years. Things will always cycle. It is not going to always be this like amazing economy and certain levels of unemployment and all this stuff. Houses are going to crash and they're going to rise over time. Jobs are going to come and go. And so part of you attaching pain and meaning to these things is figuring out, how can I make my situation, I just saw like a random dog, it's a random dog, like way far away. Sorry, that was like a weird pattern in my brain. Is like, what is that? Is it something I need to be afraid of? Or can I? So by the way, your brain is super wired to visual things as well. That's why I try, like, if we go like this and all this stuff's happening in the background, you can completely be like way more distracted. So just like my eyes just were, very visual based, the way our brains work. So we have to find a way to attach pain to something, even if it feels safe right now. And one of the coolest things I know, this is proven in so many different ways, but one of the best books, my favorite books in the whole world, is called The Talent Code. And one of the things they talk about in there, including its follow-up book, which is just tons of sets of principles of like how to get your brain working and how to achieve skill even faster, how to achieve talent. And the whole book is about how skill is grown, how talent is grown, and literally proves like how it comes down to repetition, and the earlier and the more the better. But there are almost no such gifted people, even like genetically, that they were just made to be like the fastest runner in the entire planet. They might have genetics to be strong, fast, all this other stuff, but they might have been the number one like basketball player of all time just with how their gifts were, but the way they grew up and stuff, they ended up being like a pretty good runner or something like that. But it comes down to repetition, and that's how you form skill. But here's something amazing that came out of that book, is that the very top performers on the entire planet, they study like, where did these amazing singers and athletes and musicians and even like artists, where did they come from? What did things look like? And one of the biggest things, they had several things. They had amazing mentors that were super experienced. They didn't have to be amazing in the craft. They had to share the stuff I'm sharing with you right now, essentially. They had to know how to teach. They had to know how skill is built, not just how they think it's built. They have to literally understand, and that's why there's a whole bunch of things. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but here's what you need to know, is that Spartan is better than luxurious. And so that you may think of the movie Spartan, but what they're referring to in the book is like the very best, where all the top number one tennis players in the entire planet came from for like more than a decade, probably still to this day, was this certain school. I believe this was in Russia or it was somewhere in Europe, but they were showing how like this was like a shack basically that these kids were training in. And what happens is that their brain is like looking around. It's like, dude, this does not seem okay. It seems like I'm not sure if where my next meal is going to come from. I'm not sure if things are safe. This isn't some like giant mansion and like we're always warm. Warm when we need to be. It's always the perfect temperature, like all this other stuff. It's not a perfect environment. And so their brain is signaling at the very, very deepest level, the brain is signaling that things are not necessarily okay. And what that means is that then their brain will go find the motivation it needs to go make some things happen. And so if you are in this super comfort zone and your brain is sending the signals of like, dude, we live in this mansion, we make enough money, all our bills are paid, we're comfortable, we feel really safe. If that's the meaning that your brain is attaching to everything, then what it means is that you will have far, far less motivation because there is no pain attached to all of that. And the reason I'm moving away is because there's a motorcycle about to start right by where I was doing that, I had you at. And so how that works is that, so here's what you may be asking yourself is that, well then what do I do? I do like my job. I've had it for months or years. We feel pretty safe. I'm making good income. We have a little money stashed away. Here's what you got to do. You have to realize the world is extremely volatile, and your decades here and your experiences of these economic cycles, you got to realize we go through full economic cycles every 80 years, and there's different phases of it approximately every 20 years, like 20, like with generations, and like is basically how it works. But we are far overdue. In fact, we're almost exactly on track right now for the 80 years since the last United States Great Depression. So whether you live in the US or not, you got to realize everything is tied to the US dollar in the entire world economy. Now this isn't some doom and gloom thing. There's going to be amazing opportunities ahead, but you have to realize whatever you think is safe today, that doesn't mean it's going to be safe tomorrow. Tomorrow being next year, couple years, definitely in 5 years, things will be drastically different than they are here in 2018. So you have to realize that's part of what I'm doing here, is giving you some ammo of what pain can look like. I'm giving you some fuel and some ideas and some perspective to realize you're not nearly as safe and secure as you probably think you are. And you may be someone, like I know people right now that are like, well, dude, we have like 200, 300 grand in equity in our home and all this stuff. Dude, if the economy crashes and real estate crashes, where does that equity go? If real estate prices crash and that equity's gone, how are you sitting now? Oh, well, I still got a 401k and I still have this good income. What if your job is gone, the whole place closes, or your division or just you are let go? Even if you're the #1 producer. I've been in that spot before. It's freaking crazy, but this world is volatile. So what you have to do is start taking control and realizing your entire future for yourself and your loved ones is dictated by the beliefs and the perceptions. Basically, it's all a big hallucination. And if your hallucination right now is that you're safe and your brain is getting all these safe signals, you're not going to be motivated to work. And there will almost certainly be a day, especially over the next decade or the coming decades, you're going to look back and you're going to wish, man, I wish I would have did this, this, or this. I was talking with a close friend years ago, and their biggest months were about 30 to 35,000 of their whole life, and that was like probably a year or two over their life. Their averages, I think they were doing around like 15 to 20-ish K. They owned a couple businesses, and this gentleman was older than me by about a decade or so. And what he was sharing with me when I was around my late 30s somewhere, he was sharing with me at the time, he was like, man, we've had a lot of fun. He's got to provide for his family. They had all these toys, like literally like $1 million RVs, like amazing vehicles and boats and all this stuff. And what he was sharing with me was like, man, I wish I would have saved more and invested more intelligently over time. And he definitely has money put away, and he has properties and like some equity and stuff. But where he's at, he knows the things I'm talking about and what is coming. And so he was realizing, like, dude, for most people in the world, they would kill to be in his position. Positive cash flow, equity in different areas, in precious metals, in real estate, in businesses, and he was scared to death. So what is his brain doing? Dude, I need to make my business even stronger. I need to work even harder. I need to create a new business with a stronger stream of income that can battle against these other ones. I need to create even more precious metals. I need to learn about cryptocurrency. I need to his brain is in this totally different space. He's not sitting on a comfort zone with a comfortable income and a comfortable lifestyle. Even on the outside looking in, you're like, dude, that is like really amazing. And they didn't like show off things either. If you got to know them and really started to learn about their net worth, you're like, wow, that's like really cool. And most people would feel very comfortable just having that, and therefore they would stop growing. And so the whole trick, my friend, is that you have to find a new set of pain. So if pain to you, here's a game you can play. Fast forward your life 10 years from now. I don't care when you're seeing this video, whatever today is, I want you to fast forward exactly 10 years from this day. And as you're looking back on this day with your future self and your wisdom, I want you to give yourself wisdom from your 10-year future self. And what would they guide you to do? With all the things that could potentially happen in the economy, with your income, with your businesses, with even your health of you and your family and your loved ones, extended family, and all these things that could potentially you could go through in the next decade, what wisdom is your future self going to be giving you? And it's going to be very similar to the wisdom that gentleman gave me that was a decade ahead of me. So in some ways, he was my 10-year future self. And what he gave me was that, man, I wish I would have worked harder, saved even more, created even more businesses, even better businesses, even more cash flow, and basically created even more security for himself and his loved ones. And that's exactly what your future self will be telling you. And now you get to make the choice of, are you going to listen to that version of your future self, or do you want to go get advice from the 10-year version of your future self that's like, dude, we're fine as we are. Everything feels safe and comfortable, and like, this is great. We make an extra 1,000, extra 4,000 per month, man. We're putting our money away. We're creating into Roth IRAs, and we're growing money before taxes, and like we have some crypto and gold, and whatever feels safe to you right now, realize at literally the flip of a switch, everything can change in an instant. And in fact, when you start to study not only world history and economics, but when you start to you don't even have to study that, go start engaging and plugging into some of the top minds in the world, the ones that don't have an agenda to make you feel safe or make you want to buy their crap, the ones that are literally have nothing in the game but to just share the truth with you because that's where their heart's at. And go start listening to some of those people, and you will very quickly learn there is a huge amount of pain you can leverage to send your brain the right types of signals so it realizes, dude, it is game on right now, 100% effort. I need to figure this thing out now. I need to go learn this new tool. I need to learn these new skills. I need to grow so that I can protect myself and my family for as many possible future outcomes as possible. And you can't ever protect for all of it because nobody knows the exact future. But what you can do is be in a much better position in a month from now, in a year from now, in a decade from now, compared to where you're going to be at if you stay on the freaking track you're on now. It only takes a little 1% difference every day. Could you do 1% extra effort tomorrow in your business or in your endeavor or learning a new skill or a tool? Just 1% tomorrow. And if you do it again the next day, 1 more percent. At the end of a year, you don't have 365 extra percent because the percentages start to compound. The one tomorrow, you're now working on 101% of who you were the day before. Now you're gaining 1% of 101 instead of 1% of just what was 100. So over a year, that compounds significantly, and you can be more than just 365% better. You can be thousands of percentage points better. And what that means is, look at your income. Would you like to have 1,000% gain in your income? What that means in just normal human terms, that's a 10x. Would you like to add a 0 to your monthly income? I didn't ever believe that was possible. Your brain will easily trick you into things like that. I have watched countless people do that from all walks of life, from all intelligences, from all kinds of backgrounds. It's free from all ages, from many dozens of countries. I've watched it happen. I've watched it happen for my own self and my family as well. So what I know, if there's millions of other people who can do it, literally, not that I know all millions, I know 100 plus, and I could start naming names right now. But if millions of us can do that, then I know you can too. And so what you need to do is start asking yourself more quality questions and be like, how safe am I? These things, I've brought it up in this video. Go get wisdom from your future self. Understand your brain is wired to avoid pain and to gain pleasure. So create some more painful events, create some more pleasure of what could your real life be like in 10 years. What if you had a home for all seasons, not just your one home? What if they're all paid in cash? What if you rent 3 of them out when you're not there and you have this huge income and cash flow just from owning 4 properties? I have one of my good friends I started with a company with. He owns 3.5. He was working on paying off his 4th. And they're in 2 time zones. 3 of them were here in Colorado. But here's the point. He did that in his freaking 20s. He did that in his 20s. He definitely didn't have this hugely gifted background or anything. What he had was focus and effort and consistency over time. And he made it happen just like you can, because he chose to assign pain and pleasure to different things than the average person. And by the way, our whole society is programmed by the school system and everything around us and the media and everything. You are programmed to think that everything is okay right now. So realize all that is against you. So you need to, like, it's literally like the Matrix. You need to unplug from what's really there and start to see through of like what's really there in reality. So it's time. I know this wasn't comfortable in situations over this past 20 minutes or so. It's time for you to start to evaluate your life, start to ask some deep questions, and whether that makes you uncomfortable or excited and brings up some pain and pleasure and everything else, that's what it's supposed to do. I had to get inside of your brain, and I need you to get inside of your brain because I can't do it for you, and you need to get in there, understand how the hell it works, and then you need to go take action on the things you're learning. And if this wasn't like, if this was inspiring or motivating, or you need someone who needs this message, please just share this, like get this knowledge out to the world. Let's lock arms and fight against the bigger powers that be that have agendas to like keep you locked in, keep you paying these certain government things, and keeps you like naive to the bigger picture of how the world really works. So let's lock arms, let's make the world a better place, and as we're doing that, you make your world a better place for yourself and all of your loved ones, because that's what's most important. So, love you guys, grateful for this time together. Go find some amazing new motivation, mindset, and go create some more internal power to go create the things you are meant to create in this world, because you have unique gifts inside that this world needs. And if you don't bring those gifts out, you're going to be in your grave one day looking back, looking down from above, whatever your belief systems are. The richest place in the world is the graveyard. So there's going to be someone walking by like, man, I wish Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, look at how much potential they had, and they just like, they didn't use it. Imagine who's going to be sharing that and thinking those thoughts and feeling what that feels like, the pain of regret, including your future self. So, love you, appreciate you. Share this, give me some likes, some love, leave some comments below, and looking forward to hearing from you, looking forward to seeing you achieve amazing things. Take care, my friend.